All right, so we have a special guest here before we get into our presentations. We have Casey from the Lil'wat Nation Youth Center. I'll just unmute you. It takes a second, Casey. And he's here just to share a bit about us. If you weren't at that time, we made our donation to the Lil'wat Nation Youth Center. And Casey's just gonna kind of tell us how the project went and all the details there. So go ahead.
Hello, everybody. As mentioned, my name is Casey Gabriel. I'm the Youth Center Coordinator here in Mount Currie. And I'm very thankful for the donation that we had received last year. And what I used the money for was an art project. We called it the Intergenerational Mural Project. And the whole thing about that was I had been talking to some youth and they wanted to paint the walls, and what they wanted to do was to paint stories on our walls, as this is a new building and the walls were blank and bare and they were all white and they were getting bored of looking at the white walls. So I said, well, we can paint them, put stories on them of the Lil'wat Nation. So my boss, Mason Ducharme, and I at the time had, we were nominated for this award, and we went and did a presentation. And I was as nervous as I am now last time doing the presentation, and Mason is not here. But I tried to get this Zoom meeting down on my iPad, but it wouldn't let me, so I had to go on my computer, and I think I'll try and move back so you guys could see my whole wall. I'll just start by my office door. And this, the mural depicts the story of our nation of the Great Flood. It has to do with two brothers. Then there's some art that you did, just extra paint. So the story has to do with two brothers from our territory. And there's a time of the Great Flood in the world, and the two brothers were both told to do different things to see who would survive or who would make it where in the world. And so one brother, he took children only, and he built a raft with cedar rope. He made cedar rope out of branches and twigs and twine. And he survived, and that's that brother right there. And then the one behind me here is the brother who made kind of like a canoe or a raft, but he made his out of animal hide. And if anybody knows anything about animal hide in water, it does not dry and it stretches, and it could stretch until it snaps. So that's what happened to this brother. So we had a youth mentor artist come into the youth center, and a couple of youth and I had cooked a dinner, enough for, I think there was 10 of us here that night. And we had an elder come in, a couple of elders come in, they shared a meal, and we had some snacks and drinks that evening. And we listened to the story about the Great Flood. So now today, if the clouds weren't here and the sky was clear, I would have brought you guys outside to show you the mountains that depict the lines. On the mountains in our area, you can see lines up there, and that's goes to show the different levels of what the water was. So that has to do with the Great Flood. So we spent probably 2 weeks, about 4 hours a day, 2 weeks, and we painted the walls. And I had, of course, to get my hands in there and did, even if it was just taping. But I wanted to help any way I could. Our youth mentor artist, her name is Roshenta Jones. I don't know if any of you guys might have seen her work around, but she applied for the funding, and we gladly accepted her as she was a youth. And I told her that some youth might be able to ask her questions, or if they want to be an artist, or what steps she took. So that's how it got to be, and how we spent the money that was donated by your guys' cause.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Casey.
Mm-hmm.
Beautiful. It looks absolutely gorgeous. I love it. And I love the story behind it.
Yeah, it's really interesting.
Yeah. Does anybody have any questions at all that they would want to?
I have one.
Sure.
I just was wondering how many kids worked together on the mural?
There was off and on a total of 11, 12 with the artist, and then 13 with myself whenever I would help and try to stay out of the way.
It looks great.
Yeah.
Perfect. All right. Thank you so much, Casey.
Mm-hmm.
That's amazing.
Thank
You
you
did
guys.
great. Perfect. Okay. Where are we here? There we go. All right, so we're going to move on to our presentations for the evening. Again, thanks, Casey. It was awesome to see that room and see you again. Have a great night.
Ashley, there's one question that just popped up.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, in the chat. They just want, Diane wants to know if the youth center is open now. Is he still there?
Sadly, no, the youth center is not open. I had talked with my boss, and we went over all pros and cons of opening, and I'm still the only worker in the facility, so it would take a lot out of me to sanitize and make sure kids are socially distancing and always wearing their masks, or then I'd have to close extra early just to re-sanitize the whole building. So that's what that's why we decided not to open. And the artist's name, I see the question here, Roshenta, I'll post it to everyone.
Does she have a social media handle?
Yes, she does.
Okay. Thank you. Perfect. All right, Casey, I'll let you put that down there. Perfect. All right, so our three organizations that are going to be sharing with us this evening, we've got the Hilltop House Support Society, we've got the Howe Sound Marine Rescue Society, and we have the Kelty Patrick Dennehy Foundation. So three amazing organizations in our community that I'm super excited to hear from. We are going to start off with Karyn Smith, who's the chairman of the Hilltop House Support Society. Just have to find her face on here. There she is. All right, Karyn, I'm going to unmute you here. Takes a minute and then put you on. Right. I don't know why this mute thing is so difficult. There we go.
Okay, I think I'm unmuted.
You're good.
Am I? Okay.
Yeah.
And now I have to look at my own face. I don't like that. All right. So you know who I am now. I want to tell you a little bit about Hilltop House. It's a long-term care facility in Squamish, but it serves the entire Sea to Sky corridor. It's an 86-bed facility owned and operated by Vancouver Coastal Health. It first opened in 1984. The Hilltop House Support Society is a small group of volunteers. Used to be larger, but everybody got old and kind of left. Our mandate is to enhance the lives of those in care. Just because you require full-time care in a facility does not mean that your life isn't valuable. And you should be able to do the things that make life worthwhile. Our main focus has been to provide, run, and maintain a wheelchair accessible bus, drivers included. We have purchased a new bus this past year, raising over $100,000 for the purchase of that bus. The Whistler Blackcomb Foundation contributed, as did your sister organization, the 100 Women That Care in Squamish. Many other activity initiatives are heavily supported by our volunteers, and many are funded by the Hilltop House Support Society. We do twice a month home-cooked dinner, family dinners, happy hours, music, singing, birthday teas, holiday celebrations, parties, yoga, outings, shopping, to mention a few. We have purchased furnitures, blinds, decorated hallways, decorated spaces, and even built a men's shed. The list goes on. We do fundraising and rely on donations and sponsorships. At present, we are selling grocery bags with sponsorship logos printed on the bags. Our yearly revenue and expenses vary greatly, but on average, I would say about 30,000 in and the same out, depending, of course, on what projects we've committed to doing for our residents. Our residents excuse me. Our residents range in age from 40 to 100. We've got actually a resident who's 103 next week. 60% of our residents, unfortunately, are now in wheelchairs. And because of that, that's why we're here tonight. Our next project is to enhance one of the outside courtyards to allow better access for more residents. When it was built, we didn't have 60% of people in wheelchairs, and they were quite able to get in and out by themselves, and that doesn't exist anymore. The use of this outside area is very restricted because of narrow pathways and a large green space area between the pathways. It is our intent to concrete the entire space for unobstructed movement, especially for the wheelchairs. The space would allow for tables and shade umbrellas, and the improvements open the area so Hilltop can more easily host outside gatherings, barbecues, and even doing some exercises outside. We estimate that the approximate cost will be about $18,000. Your donation, should you decide to give it to us, will enable us to move forward with this project. Any leftovers monies we'll use to fund our ongoing activity initiatives, as I previously mentioned. Help us to help these very well-deserving residents, as they are the reason that the Sea to Sky is what it is today. They have worked in the past to give us what we have today, and may we help them with and make their future happier. Thank you.
Perfect, Karyn, that was wonderful. Thank you. Andrea, do we have any questions? If anybody has any questions, please pop them in the chat bar there. Just give people maybe a moment.
Yeah, there's no questions quite yet.
Karyn, what size is the space that's outside right now? Do you know the square footage of it?
Yes, there's two. There's actually two spaces and then some green space in between them. So it's 30 by 50 and then it's 50 by 50.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And we are, I mean, we're looking at people to donate. I'm
Yeah.
a real bag when it comes to that.
Do you guys have any?
Donate time, donate energy.
Do you guys have any other large donors specific to this project already?
Yes, we do. The local Legion has given us $3,000.
Okay. All right. I think there's a question there.
Yeah, do residents pay any amount to live there?
Yes, they pay 80% of their taxable earnings to Hilltop House because it's a government-run facility.
Oh, okay.
And unfortunately, or fortunately, the government doesn't have a lot of extra money. They spend it on getting care workers and, you know, basic care needs. So all of these extra things, outside work, the men's shed, all of those things, they don't have money to contribute to.
And are all the beds full?
Yes. And there's a waiting list.
Oh, okay. Liz is asking how much money, just to repeat this, she missed it, is total required for this project? I think it was
We are estimating, we've done some research and we're estimating $18,000.
Okay. Awesome. All right. Thank you so much, Karyn.
Thank you for allowing me to present it.
Oh, you're very welcome. All right, so now we're going to move on to Nelson Dow, who's the president of the Howe Sound Marine Rescue Society. Just need to find him in my list of people here. There we go.
You're muted.
There we
Hi,
are.
everybody.
Hi,
Can
Nelson.
you hear me? Hi. So thank you, Ashley, for introducing me. Yes, that's right. I am Nelson, and I'm the president of Howe Sound Marine Rescue Society. That is the registered charity that operates Royal Canadian Marine Search and Rescue. And before we get into it, I just wanted to thank 100 Women Whistler for their generous contributions to charities in the Sea to Sky. I know that helps our communities be stronger and more resilient, and I know that that's what all the charities are looking for here tonight. So I wanted to get into it, and I've decided to present down here at the waterfront to help you understand a little bit about what we do, who we are, and what we need. So first off, Howe Sound Marine Rescue Society, and you'll hear me talk about it as Howe Sound Marine Rescue Society and Royal Canadian Marine Search and Rescue. They're one and the same. Really, the charity's name is Howe Sound Marine Rescue Society, but our on the water name is Royal Canadian Marine Search and Rescue. So our primary mandate is to save lives out on the water. So maintaining a station 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year, whose primary goal is to keep people safe who might end up in trouble out on the water. Secondary to that, we also promote safe boating activities and community awareness about safe boating activities. Those are things like pleasure craft safety checks for boaters in our community, the Kids Don't Float life jacket program. And we also, as our third component to our mandate, is we support Emergency Management BC with their humanitarian assistance where it's needed. So our 100% volunteer membership is really on high alert around this time of night. So around 7 p.m., this is when we get the majority of our calls, and when we hustle down here to our fast rescue craft to be able to provide response to others who are in need. We operate in some of the harshest marine environments in the world, and we also operate in conditions that otherwise, normal boaters don't go out in. And so with that in mind, our equipment and our training need to be top notch, second to none. And that's really where we excel as a station. So when we get a call, we are a little bit different than Ground SAR, and in that we don't get funding from the same model as Ground SAR and benefit from the provincial funding that Ground SAR gets. We are a 100% self-funded organization and have to generate our fundraising activities all ourselves. In addition to that, because we're part of a network of 34 other rescue stations around BC, we also have to do 100% of our fundraising from our local community. It's extremely expensive to run a rescue station, and especially a marine rescue station. And when all that funding has to come from our local area, it can become really taxing on the members who are involved in that station. You know, we're all here to support marine rescue, to help people understand a little bit more about what safe boating activities are. And when we're burdened and saddled by fundraising activities, it can be really challenging. So to give you a picture about what we do, you know, the phone goes off, we jump up from our dinner tables, from our families, and we respond down here to the waterfront and begin to get into our turnout gear. So our turnout gear is our important personal safety equipment that we put on that keeps us safe throughout our operation. So that's stuff like our life jacket, our SAR vest that I'm wearing now, helmets, boots, all the required equipment to do that. We get all that equipment from this trailer. So this trailer is where we get our equipment. This trailer is where we change into our equipment. And this trailer is where we do our pre-departure briefings and our mission briefings with our crew before we respond to maydays or distresses out on the water. Now, this has served us well for 11 years. And as a 10-year member of Howe Sound Marine Search and Rescue, you know, this worked in here an awful lot, but it really has reached its end of life. And this is where our ask for you tonight comes into play. So we've been tasked with fundraising and planning for the replacement of this trailer. So the planning part happened first. We came up with a model that is going to be a mobile unit down here. It's not a trailer, but you know, it's a fitted out sea can with locker space, room for pre-departure briefings, proper heating, proper lighting. Why this space isn't working for us anymore is, one, it's a bit too small. Two, COVID has made it increasingly difficult, and we're increasingly aware really of the hazards of storing our personal equipment like this. And then of course it takes more time for us to respond to calls when only one person can come into this facility at once. You know, that along with the general condition of it and it being about 11 years old, just meant that we had to fundraise and make a plan for this to be replaced. So we're super excited at the potential for a new turnout gear, you know, basically a locker room and briefing room down here at the waterfront. But you know, with that change comes a big cost. And when our station priced it out and got a detailed quote for it, it came in at $24,000. So when you think of generating $24,000 from the sea to sky itself, as a rescue station that has no regular annual funding model, it can be quite daunting. And it can be a little disheartening, of course, to the members, but we weren't disheartened. We fastened our seatbelts and got to work. I'm really proud to say that our station's been able to generate $8,400 towards this project thus far from community donations and fundraising since we decided to go ahead with it. The potential donation from 100 Women Whistler will put us to the point where we can make this project a go. It will green light the replacement of this building at a time where it's incredibly important to maintain strong search and rescue capabilities out on the Howe Sound. So you're probably wondering, it still ends up being a little bit short from that specific quote that we had, but the remainder of the $5,000 remaining that would be the cost that we would be ensuing for that project would come from our operations fund, which we happen to have a bit of savings in this year because of the, we had to close and shut down our operation a little bit. So we saved on fuel costs and we have a bit of extra money as a result. So really the $10,000 from 100 Women Whistler can greenlight this program. And, you know, our members could be into a new building, you know, when the weather changes, as we know it does here in the sea to sky. So in closing, I just want each of you to think about what it would be like to accidentally fall into the water of Howe Sound. you know, you're cold, you're wet, you know, your lives may be in danger. You know, I can assure you, Marine Search and Rescue will be there for you in your time of need. But now is our time of need, and we're asking you to help us out with this project. So that's our pitch, and look forward to being your recipient tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Nelson. I think we have a few questions here. Andrea's gonna put them forward to you.
Sure.
You touched a bit on funding, and there was a question, do you receive any federal funding?
So we receive no regular funding. When we respond to a call, we receive a reimbursement for fuel and for expenses that were incurred for a call. And that's through the Canadian Coast Guard that we receive that. Any vessel actually in the world that was respond to a call could get a tasking number and receive that same benefit when they respond to it. But it does cover the costs of a response, yes. And that does come from the feds.
All right, thank you. And how many rescue calls are responded to annually?
So our station sees a broad fluctuation in the number of calls from year to year. This year we're at 8. That is sounds probably low to many people. Some of the women here are probably on Squamish search, or sorry, Whistler Search and Rescue. But we average about 22 a year. And with that, you know, it's important to understand that when somebody's in distress out on the water, that, you know, we have directly contributed to saving 3 lives this year on our stats. We've assisted 1, and we've also helped ensure $150,000 in assets have been protected throughout those calls. You know, just with the call outs, you know, sometimes our station has been one of the busiest in the province, and I'm quite thankful that it's not there right now. And we have seen increased activity on the north end of Howe Sound, but thankfully it hasn't led to a ton more calls this year.
Great, thank you. And is there a Coast Guard servicing this area? How does your organization work with them?
Right, so the nearest Coast Guard station is in Vancouver. Whenever somebody's in distress on a marine waterway, and especially with our waters as cold as they are here, small community-based stations are extremely important to ensure that we can provide the life-saving services that somebody would need. People who enter the water around here have 1 minute to catch their breath, about 10 minutes of effective movement of their muscles, and then about an hour before they lose consciousness. So even though there is a station in Vancouver, and they will respond rapidly to calls, you know, having our station here is a further support and kind of a community-based net that extends all up and down the BC coast. And so there's another Marine Search and Rescue station in Gibsons. There's one in Horseshoe Bay. There's one in North Vancouver. And they all have the same funding requirements as we do and the challenges. So they're trying to pull funding from their own local areas as much as we are from our locals.
Great, thank you. Next question is, how many, I think you responded to that one. Does the 24,000 include a retrofit of the CCAN for your use?
Yeah, so it's not just for the CCAN, that's full build out. So it would be powered, lit, heated. It would have be insulated, 2 entryways and exits. There's personal storage areas where people can change and leave their personal items in there that will allow that. And it's all built out. So that cost includes all build out. And the reason we had to choose a mobile option is because the waterfront area in Howe Sound is undergoing changes, and we need to ensure that we have a mobile option so that we can move that into another area should our needs require that.
Great, thank you. And one question I missed there was, who trains you?
We train ourselves. It's a long and difficult process. So there are Marine Search and Rescue kind of like fundamental skills. And, you know, we train the same way as Coast Guard trains. And that's the same way that Marine Search and Rescue trained
Great,
in the United
thanks.
States.
Oh, sorry, do you have more to say?
So we train ourselves. It takes about a year to become a crew member. I'm a captain, and you know, it took me about 10 years to get there.
Awesome. Next question is, what type of issues do you respond to? Do they include emergency and non-emergency calls?
Yeah, absolutely they do. So, you know, we can respond to tows or vessels in need of assistance. Now, the Joint Rescue Coordination Center, which actually sets up our taskings, will automatically defer, you know, commercial tows and stuff like that to available boats for commercial tow. We're responding to people who are in danger, but you know, sometimes that's not people who are in imminent danger of a risk of loss of life or health. It can be something that as time goes by, it would turn into something like that. And the Howe Sound has nowhere really to anchor. So it's not like boats that are disabled or anything can just drop anchor and not drift into shore and get their boat smashed up on the rocks. It's just too deep. And we pretty much have to respond in both of those capacities.
All right, thank you. And the last question I think we have is, how many people are on your team?
So we have 25 active members. It's a diverse crew of men and women from the sea to sky and primarily Squamish, I would say, supporting our crew. We generally recruit about 6 people per year. And, you know, just due to the transient nature and the kind of cyclical nature of people coming through the sea to sky, we lose about that many a year as well. Our core group of active members, well, we have a membership of 25 though.
Great. One more question snuck in there. Do you work
Sure.
with the Squamish Wind Sport Society?
Yeah, so we don't respond, well, if there's ever an emergency, we absolutely do support them in emergencies. However, they are a different society that provides marine rescue to their membership as well. And so where possible, even when we're training, we will allow them to take lead on a rescue that involves a paying member to their society, because that's part of their mandate. But with that, we train with them. We've helped them understand, you know, how to respond in a safe and meaningful way to marine emergencies. And we work with them, but not directly with them.
Awesome.
Thanks.
Thank you so much, Nelson. That was amazing. You had
Thanks, Ashley.
some questions there.
Awesome.
Great. Thank you.
I hope that's a good sign.
Yeah, that was perfect. Okay, and then last but not least here, we've got Karyn and Ginny Dennehy. Let me pop you up here. There you go. All right. Sorry, the mute is just taking a minute. There we go.
We're unmuted now, right?
There we go.
Good evening, and thank you for allowing us to present to your worthwhile organization. We are Karyn and Ginny Dennehy, co-founders of the Kelty Patrick Dennehy Foundation. We lost our son Kelty in 2001 to depression-related suicide, and our beautiful Riley 8 years later due to an accident in Thailand. We rose to become the biggest mom and pop foundation in Western Canada for 2 reasons. 1, to have our children remembered. 2, to help others who had children who suffer from mental illness to find resources to help relieve their suffering. Fact is that when we lost Kelty, we didn't understand why and had nowhere to go to seek help. Our mission statement from day one was to prevent suicide-related depression in young people. The work our foundation has done in the last 19 years has changed all that frustration, fear, and helplessness. People now have awareness, education, and resources and hope for their loved ones. The foundation has been the spearhead of action for mental health in Whistler and BC since 2001. Ginny and I have been recognized for our leadership in mental health by being bestowed the Order of BC by the provincial government in 2016. I'm sure you have done your due diligence and visited our website and seen the macro effects and establishing successful resource centers in coordination with major BC hospitals and establishing BC's first chair for mental health. But we've also focused on micro projects here in the Whistler community that you may not have heard of. Events like Marching for Awareness in the Canada Day Parade, sending counselors from the Crisis Center into Whistler schools, scholarships for Whistler grads, funding a key Whistler counselor, Greg McNeil's master's degree, various speaker series on mental health in Whistler, and recently, injecting funds toward mental health services with Whistler Community Services, and also to zero ceiling. Not to mention taking desperate calls and emails at all hours of the night from not only Whistlerites, but from all over the country. One Whistlerite, some of whom you probably know, phoned me one day from Vancouver, one afternoon from Vancouver, and said, "I'm coming up tonight to speak to you, and if you're not there, I'm going to take my life." May I say humbly, he's still around and doing fine. Please don't think you're giving to a fat cat charity, folks. We, as Ginny will explain later, are the real deal. Ginny and I have pedaled our bikes across Canada, shouting our message, "Enough is enough," at 48 radio, TV, and live audiences. There's an old saying I heard the other day: thunder makes all the noise, but lightning does all the work. I'd like to leave you with that image. Thank you.
Since the Kelty Patrick Dennehy Foundation was formed in 2001, we have raised over $7 million for youth mental health. Our objective has always been to keep our operating expenses at a minimal, which we have been able to do since we have very few paid staff and many volunteers. Our operating costs on the average are less than 10%. In the past, when we had large fundraising events such as our Drive for Life golf tournament, even then our operating costs were minimal, as we were able to have many of the goods and services donated, as well as the large dedicated team of the volunteers. Last year, we had our We're Back for Mental Health. This was held at Buffalo Bills. Unfortunately, this year, we cannot do the same thing because of COVID-19. Today, many organizations are volunteering to do the fundraising for us, as well as organizations like yours who are supporting us so we can continue to do the work that we feel is so important for youth mental health. The funds, if we were to receive them, would go into marketing some of the programs and resources we have developed over the years. We have learned it's up to us to promote these programs as much as possible so that all youth, parents, healthcare workers, teachers, and other friends and families know about these resources. For example, one of our latest programs we have been working on with Vancouver General Hospital is called Kelty's Keys, a free online therapy program. We would spend the money to advertise that with getting a marketing program in place so that everyone in our community knows where to get help. The Kelty Dennehy Mental Health Resource Center at the Hope Mental Health Building at Lionsgate is another resource that can be utilized by our community. Especially in these COVID-19 times, these online programs that could definitely benefit many. The Kelty Resource Center at BC Children's is another resource that has been a lifesaver for many parents and youth alike. But not everyone knows about these resources that we have already funded. We believe, as I say, especially in these trying times, it's so important that our community knows about these resources. I worry about how our community will survive a mental health crisis without the knowledge of these programs, resources, and places that are available to all of us. Over the years, Carrie and I have helped numerous people in and out of our community. When someone loses a child, they do not think that they can ever go on. They don't understand why, and especially what could they have done to prevent this from happening. We believe that by sharing our personal story, it has helped so many. Just very recently, we received a lovely card and gifts from a woman who had lost her beautiful daughter from suicide. Her daughter, bright, young, and beautiful, reminded me so much of our Riley. In her note, she described the pain that she had gone through and how she was trying so hard to move on, but just could not. A friend of hers gave her a copy of my book, Choosing Hope, A Mother's Story of Loss, Love, and Survival, and how after reading that book, it gave her some hope. She was here from Calgary visiting Whistler on a bike ride, and she ended up on Kelty and Riley's bench by Green Lake. And for her, she said, it all started to come together. She wrote us a lovely note about her story, as well as giving us these two beautiful gifts. I'm going to show you the gifts. It's a beautiful rock, and this is the other one. Oops, sorry. Don't know how to do that. Yeah. Anyway. This is just one example of how, with the loss of our beautiful boy Kelty and our sweet babes Riley, we are hopefully making a difference in some people's lives. For those of you who are mothers, you cannot imagine losing your children. Neither could we. But we have the strength of both of our angels on our shoulders, helping us make a difference for those that are suffering from mental health issues. Organizations like yours supporting what we do means so much to so many. I thank you for giving us the opportunity to present to you today, and more importantly, giving hope for those that suffer from mental health issues. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, both of you. Just give a second here and see if anybody has any questions to put forward. Myself, I was, so the project you guys are hoping to put forward is for marketing the programs that you already have in place, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, and is that, do you have an idea on the marketing that you're looking for, or have you done specific marketing in the past that has more effectiveness than others?
Yeah, well, what we would do is we're kind of looking at a firm that we would hire to do specific marketing on this, because we realize that when we're working with, whether it's Vancouver General Hospital or Lionsgate or whoever, that they do not have that, they do not put the funds into the marketing program. And that's the thing that frustrates us more than anything. Like we put the money into these things like Kelty's Keys and the resource centers and stuff, but it frustrates me so much when I go to the Whistler Healthcare Center and there's not, pamphlets or whatever to showing about the mental health center at BC Children's Hospital.
Right.
So many people are suffering. Their kids are suffering, and we need to get these resources out there in the community.
So this is oh, sorry, go ahead.
You know to go to the hospital when you break your leg.
Right.
You don't know if your child has a mental illness to go to the hospital, and that's what we're trying to shed the light on.
Right. And so this funding would be very specific to getting this message out within the Sea to Sky, that we have options here where those are, because that's where you feel the missing link kind of in our community is, correct?
Exactly, because we have funded these programs and they're doing great and they're amazing.
Right.
But not everybody knows them. I just had a call, as a matter of fact, from a very well-known Whistler person, and she had a friend who was, kind of suicidal and everything. And she said, I didn't know where to go. I don't know where to go. And I thought, oh my goodness, this is sad.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Andrea?
Yeah, there's a question here. Sherry's asking how many people currently use Kelty's Keys?
Kelty's Keys, I do not have that answer on the top of my, we are having a meeting with Vancouver General in 2 weeks' times, and that's when we're going to get all the data of that whole program. But it is something that is out there. It's a free online program, and that then you can also be working with a psychologist on there. So it's pretty amazing, but I don't have those statistics for you, so I'm sorry.
Okay.
And then Jackie Dickinson says she doesn't have a question, but rather wants to thank and acknowledge all of the support you have offered Whistler Community Services Society. The most recent donation they received this past spring allowed them to continue to offer mental health services and low barrier support. She is so grateful.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Jackie.
Amazing. If anyone else has a question for Carrie or Ginny, please pop it down there, or we move on. Oh,
One just popped in. Will these programs help youth anxiety in the times of COVID? It's incredible the impact on youth health.
Absolutely. I mean, this is why I believe it is so important to put the resources into a marketing program so that these, you know, during this time, I mean, it's crucial. We're at a bit of a crisis here. We need to do something. And I mean, Carrie and I care very, very much about our community. And that's why we want to do this, and we want to be able to fund something like this.
do you have any programs within the high school already that you would be putting forward more, or is it just the programs you have that you'll be sharing with them?
Okay, so one of the things that we have done is we are working with an organization called jack.org. I'm not sure how many people are familiar. We are the regional partner with jack.org, so we kind of are working directly, and so that's how we're into the high schools, which is really key, because that's where the kids are, you know.
Yeah. Awesome.
All right, we have one more question, or a few more questions. Do you get referrals from suicide prevention phone lines?
No. When we have someone like that, because we're not the experts, right? We go to BC Crisis Center, and that's where those guys are the experts to deal with that.
We do a lot of referring. We become experts by default.
Mm-hmm.
And people call us desperately, and we say, you know what, we know a lot about it, but you know, we're business people, we're retired people, and but we can refer you on to further resources. So that's what we do.
I guess one of the things is that Carrie and I have felt very, very strongly during the whole thing is we want no parent or no one to go through what we went through. So that's why we're so engaged, and we're trying to really make a difference there. And that's why we work with these organizations, is because when we went through this with Kelty, we were at loss. We didn't know where to go, what to do. And so that's kind of, as Carrie says, we take a lot of calls and stuff, but we refer these people. We talk to them. We talk to them as parents, and we try to help them in that way. But, you know, like the experts are the people at BC Crisis, at Lionsgate, at all those other places.
And the last question is, what's the best way to volunteer for your foundation?
Well, you know, it's interesting. We're kind of working on some of the different ways to do that right now, is because when we were doing all these major events, we had so many wonderful volunteers from all different areas. Right now, because of COVID, we're not able to do a lot of events. So, you know, we're just kind of getting people's names, and we're just kind of saying, as soon as we can kind of start doing stuff again, we'll be calling you.
People call us from all over saying, you know, we'll wash cars for you. Can we you know, we make apparel. Can we donate apparel? Can we do this? Can we do that? It's amazing how many volunteers do their own thing and contribute to us. And Ginny, maybe you can add to some of the revenue that comes in from other people. It's
yeah,
amazing.
I mean, it is. There's numerous different things that different. I mean, we had just last year, for example, an old school friend of mine did a fashion show, and her whole revenue was donated to our foundation because she wanted to do something that gave back. So there's different things that kind of pop up.
Russ Courtnall of the Vancouver Canucks phoned us and wanted to speak at one of our events, and it goes on and on. So there's people streaming in from all over. So
because I think one of the things is that, you know, we all sit here and we all, you know, there's so many things that are going on in this world, but 1 in 5 of us suffer from some kind of a mental illness. And, you know, not a lot of people want to talk about it. Certainly didn't want to talk about it when we lost Kelty in 2001. But we have to realize that this disease touches so many of us. And that's where we really have to think about how can we help these people and how can we make a difference.
That's amazing. Thank you. Oh, what just came up here? Andrea, is there another question on there?
It's not, it's a comment from Jackie saying our meetings with clients in crisis increased by 40% this past spring after COVID hit. This would not have been possible without the support of the Kelty Patrick Dennehy Foundation.
Awesome. And another one of our members has messaged me a while just to say that this resource was key to helping with her son through mental health. So thank you. All right. Thank you so much. So we are going to, I'll just quickly do an overview here. Cancel that. So our 3 organizations, this is unimaginably hard. I'm still not sure how we're going to do this, but we had the Hilltop House Support Society. Their project is to enhance their outside courtyard so that their members who are in wheelchair can access that space. We had the Howe Sound Marine Rescue Society, who are looking to replace and get a new mobile trailer or buildings for all of their items that they need to house and for them to be able to have their meetings and all those sorts of things. So super important there. And then of course, last we had the Kelty Patrick Dennehy Foundation for marketing, just so that our community can understand what support is out there. So I'm gonna pop up the poll and I'll probably give it a few minutes because I have a feeling that a few of our members are gonna need some time here, but I'm gonna pop, how to get it here. There we go. Okay, so everyone should have it on their screen now. Just make your selection, and once I've got, I think it's 50 members on there, then we'll know that we are done. How are we doing here? We're close. There should still be a few members out there that haven't placed. We've got 3 who aren't able and then 3 presenters. So there we go. I think that might be, is there anyone who hasn't placed their vote yet? I think that should be it for everyone. Shake your hand and go like this to me if you're having any problems with the poll. Oh, I see one there. Barbara, are you not able to place your vote? Oh, you got it. Okay. Anybody else? Oh, everyone else has turned off their camera. Fancy. Must be nice. Okay, I think we are going to.
Ashley, there's a question.
Oh, sorry, I didn't see that.
Deb says, how do we vote separately? We are 3 together.
That's a great question. So you would need to sign on to your phone or another mobile device. So you need to actually be a registered member in there to have a vote. So if you wanna, we can wait another minute here and you can quickly sign on, or you can private message me your vote and I can kind of just add it into the poll here. Where are you ladies? I'll see which you would like to do.
She said she'll private message you, Ashley.
Okay, thank you. So I'll just wait for that to come through. I'll close this poll now. And Courtney, did you send me a text for yours as well? Here, while we're waiting for that, why don't we do, how about I get a group picture? Everybody, either hold up your beverage or smile, because this is our group photo. There we go. Now we'll get the second screen. Everybody say cheers.
Cheers.
Except it's only me that I can hear. Okay, just waiting for that to come through. Sorry guys, I'm just waiting for the last ones to come in here. Oh, I see she's texting me. Perfect. Okay, awesome. So are we ready to go here? So our presentation tonight is going to be for, we have about 120 members right now. Few members I haven't heard from. So this is going to be a $12,000 donation that 100 Women Whistler will be putting forward to the community. I wish I could like unmute you all of a sudden to do a drum roll or something. Show me your drum roll. I love it when you actually do something. So the winner of our $12,000 donation is the Kelty Patrick Dennehy Foundation. I'm just trying to find their picture here. Thank you so much to the Hilltop House Society and the Howe Sound Marine Search. You guys are amazing, and the work that you do is not given a round of applause. Thank you so very much. We really appreciate you coming on here and sharing with us about your organization. There you guys are. So I'll unmute you guys. There we go. Yay to the Kelty Patrick Dennehy Foundation.
Thank you. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you very much.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you again to all of our members and everybody for coming on and taking the time to sit through this. I super appreciate that. And hopefully we can meet again soon in person, but nobody knows how long that will be. Karyn and Ginny, I'll reach out to you tomorrow sometime and go over the details of the donation, but I'm super happy for you and very excited to hear how the project goes.
Thank you so much, and thank you both to the other participants. I mean, your causes are very worthy too, and but thank you so much.
Good luck to you both.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And just a note to all of our members as well, if you haven't sent in your Interact transfer to info@100women.com, please do that as soon as possible. It just makes the process for me not having to chase people so much better. So if you want to keep seeing me smile, please send that through as soon as you can. Thank you so much. And you guys can unmute now if you want to talk and say hello or head off and go to bed, whatever works for you. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you.